Perfect. We are live now.
We're on?
Just wait a second. We're going live. Okay, we are live now, Michael.
It's good to see you.
It's very good to be with you, Michael.
Welcome to Sunday, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming out and doing this.
I'm very happy to be with you.
Are you going to thank me?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me here. It's really a pleasure.
I want to make a point before we start, actually, a couple of points. The first is the place where we are allowed to film this is insane.
Very great.
I mean, it's really great.
It's amazing.
We don't own it, but boy, I look around and I'm happy to be here.
Oh, definitely.
True Digital Park.
I think we get a very nice place to work and
Absolutely.
to do this.
I don't think it gets much better than this, actually.
I think it's just going to be hard to get
It's
something
going
better
to
than
get
that.
better than this. And I don't even think anybody's trying to compete with this. Anyway, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you, Michael. What about you?
I am super. Look, I wanted to talk, we've wanted to have this conversation for a while, right?
Mm-hmm, definitely.
About e-commerce. And we both come with like a little bit of a different expertise. I think you actually know more about this than I do.
I don't know, let's see.
Let's find out, I guess.
Let's find out.
Yes. But what are you doing in the e-commerce space? Like, do you have your own store? I don't have my own store. I've tried to set some up, by the way.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I don't have my own store, but I manage my startup, which creates stores for people. So I don't have my own, but currently I got like around 500 stores on my platform.
Do you really?
So yeah.
But this is really interesting to me. Look, the topic that I want to cover, that we want to cover today, and I think on an ongoing basis really is, right now most e-commerce gets done in marketplaces, whether it's Amazon in the United States, I'm sure there are some in Europe as well. Maybe you can mention their names. And in Asia, there are some big ones too. We don't have to talk about their names. But there's this building change, it feels like to me, where, and we can talk about this in the context of just like regular offline life. And I think at some level, you tell me where I'm wrong, but I think at some level, online life is going to start more closely mirroring offline life. So the way I look at the development, and again, tell me where I'm wrong, is this. Is that in the old days, right, when my grandmother and grandfather and even my mom and dad went to the store, they went to like a bakery to buy bread. Mm-hmm. And as things progressed, they'd go buy shoes at a shoe store. They'd buy clothes at a haberdasher. Nobody even uses that word anymore. Mm-hmm. And then you had these big department stores, Macy's, Bloomingdale's in the United States, right, Neiman Marcus, where you just go for everything. And at the beginning, it was good because they'd highly curate their products. You can see where the equivalency is coming, right?
Sure.
And jump in whenever you want.
That's fine.
But once they stopped curating and then just everything piled on, the men's floor had like 17,000 brands and you didn't know which pair of socks to buy. Mm-hmm. No man ever wanted to go up to the 8th floor to go to the women's floor because it was just a complete mess and you couldn't find anything you wanted. So what happened was people started taking products out of those stores and going back and building little boutiques.
Already?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm too young. I didn't see this switch.
You didn't see the progression.
I didn't see the progression.
But
I saw the progression online.
Yeah.
Kind of the same, actually. And that's very interesting that you say that, because from my experience, from what I saw, over the last 10 years, let's say, or 15 years, is that some brands started to market on marketplaces
Right.
a complete other way because of that. Because when you are flooded, like when you are lost among thousands of products that look the same and most of the time just compete on price, because that's the only thing you can do on marketplaces, they started to market another way, especially on shoes, actually.
Tell me, you're talking about Zappos.
In France, in Europe, it's Zalando.
Okay, tell me how it was different though.
So they started like, at first that's a marketplace, right?
Right.
Of course, we get like a lot of shoes and stuff like that, and they get awesome customer support and stuff like that. So people want to go buy there.
Right.
But then when you are a brand and you want to sell shoes, you're lost among
where do I go?
All the products.
Right.
So what they started to do, the big brands, because that's not for you and me, that's super expensive.
Sure.
And this is not the kind of stuff that we can compete with. That's Adidas would do that, Nike.
Right.
So what they started to do is that they started to invest into these kind of marketplaces.
Okay.
So like they own some shares. So then they put their product on top.
On top, right.
They market on the website.
But that's even worse though.
That's worse for the small brands,
For the small brands, right? but even for the consumers too, because...
Also for the consumer, because there is not at all this sense of marketplaces, free market and free competition, right?
Right.
Because the big brands owns the shares of the marketplace.
Exactly.
So they own the traffic plus the marketing, which makes it definitely unfair.
So here's the big benefit, right? if you go to a mall, online or offline, we can call the online stuff a marketplace, but it's just a mall, right? If you go to the mall, you kind of have to walk through, you know where all the stores are. And the individual stores inside of a physical mall can actually differentiate themselves.
Sure.
So the Adidas store experience even doesn't look like the Nike store. But online, because of the way the marketplaces are built, can you do that?
You can do that.
On a marketplace.
Because the marketplace, they can allow you to change the design, to put a nice header to talk about you.
Right.
And when you get hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of visitors per month,
Okay.
You can sell that super expensive, right? Because all of these people who go on the website to buy shoes and who trust you to get a free market condition,
Right.
then they can trust you even more if they see.
But let me ask you this. You said you have 500 customers on your platform.
Right now.
Pretty quickly, right? Within a couple of months.
Yeah, we started like not even 6 months ago.
Who does the customer service?
Me.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, why?
Because it helps me to get the best experience of what my customer
So you've just answered my next question. Because you control the experience.
I control the experience
that your customers have.
Yeah.
And they love you.
And they love that.
Right? Because they love it though, right? This was Tony Say did this at Zappos, right? And even at the beginning of Amazon, the customer service was amazing and probably still is amazing. But the idea for me is that every individual seller doesn't own that customer experience on a marketplace.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So they benefit from, let's talk about the benefits. Massive traffic.
Massive traffic, yeah.
Right? Massive. Just like a mall.
Yeah.
The mall advertises and says, come down to, the Trumbull shopping center.
We get tons of shops. You can find
plenty of people.
Amazing things.
Foot traffic was important, right?
Yeah. True.
But in a physical store, I can ask my customer, what's your phone number?
Yeah.
In which part of Trumbull do you live? On the east side, on the west side?
That's true.
Let me get your data, a little bit of data for you, and let me have your email. Then if I have special deals, I can give you special deals.
On marketplaces, that's impossible.
So that's weird though, right?
That's how it works.
I know that's how it works, but this is why I'm asking the question. Yeah. Tell me again, what does Hello Dr. Tech do?
We are providing a software where people can build their own store, their own e-commerce store by themselves without coding a single line.
So no code.
So no code.
But not this kind of like no code thing that like other people are doing.
No, it's like full features.
Just full features,
store.
everything.
Yeah. It's like something you would buy a few $1,000s to a developer or to an agency.
Right. But why do you think that this type of product is necessary? Because I think it's an endemic part of this transfer or this movement, transformation from a marketplace to individual sellers. It's so they can have control.
They can have control of
Is that fair?
I think that's super important.
Right?
I don't know your point of view about that, but for me, if I want to launch a business, I better control the marketing channel. I better control the conversation with my customer. I want to do the data. I want to be able to talk to my customer and stuff like that, right?
Right.
So you cannot do that on a marketplace because the marketplace doesn't want you to get the traffic out of them, right? They want to keep the traffic on the marketplace, and they want to be able, to sell that to other sellers.
Right.
With your own store,
right,
that you own, you can definitely do all of this stuff and get much better insights, data, and control of your business.
So this is important, right? The insights and the data. But how do you compete against, if you're an individual seller with great product, right? How do you compete against a gigantic marketplace that essentially got big through venture capital money?
They do.
They don't have to make a profit, and they're not making a profit yet, at least out here. How do you compete against them when it comes to just marketing dollars? Right, because how do regular customers who run e-commerce sites get business? What do they do? Google AdWords, Facebook ads?
Yeah, there's a lot of Facebook ads.
How does that work?
Facebook ads has been huge over the last few years for e-commerce.
Okay.
Especially in Europe, like we saw like a very huge increase in spend on ads on Facebook for e-commerce. So yeah, this is something that they do. This is a great way to differentiate themselves because Amazon doesn't do that. They don't advertise on Facebook, for example.
They don't have to.
They don't have to, right?
They don't have to.
So they don't do it. So the way that some people start is that they try to catch the attention of people on social media. So essentially Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram,
Snapchat,
TikTok now. So they try to get the attention, and then as they control the data and all the customer details, they can then build relationship and then selling to them.
So these big marketplaces as well, right, run massive data infrastructures. You just talked about saving data, right? I can accumulate all the data I want, but if I don't have a data lake and data infrastructure to be able to actually analyze that data.
But Amazon doesn't give it to you.
No, Amazon will never give it to me, which is why I do think that there is going to be this movement from these big marketplaces.
Yeah.
Amazon also does some other things, and we should talk about it, I think, explicitly. If Amazon sees you selling a product at scale, they'll white label that product.
Yeah, sometimes they do that. Yeah.
And outsell you.
Sometimes they do that. Also, sometimes what they do is they say, oh, you cannot sell that anymore.
Right.
Or they change the regulation. For example, like recently what they did in Europe is they said if on your product there is not your brand,
right,
you cannot sell that. So for example, we could not sell this mouse. Instead, if we put our logo on that, which is like just impossible on
right.
Amazon. So they control your business, right? They can
right.
They can say any day it's finished, that will change something.
Right, and this is the same thing because that's just rent taking, right?
Yeah.
In a physical mall, you pay $1,000 a month for that space, and depending on the agreement that you have with the mall, you could pay maybe a percentage of profits or a percentage of revenue. But they can't tell you. I mean, I'm sure they can tell you what to sell, but during that year-long lease that you have, it would be weird for them to change the terms of service.
Yeah. Or with marketplaces, they can do whatever they want most of the time.
At any time.
Yeah. So that's why I think we can think about like what I do with providing e-commerce solution for sellers and marketplaces, like Amazon or marketplaces. They give the power to the buyer, because the buyer can like have a great experience.
Sure.
They can like
sure.
They make everybody compete for the buyer.
Right.
But what I do is I give the power to the sellers, to the guy who launched the business.
You're just like flipping the bit,
yeah,
right?
we are just
flipping it, yeah?
And then if the seller can do a great job, I rebuild his store,
right.
he can also give an awesome experience to his buyers, to his customers.
Right.
So we can do tender both, but we flip the thing and we give the power to the sellers on the kind of platform that I
But
have.
you just hit on a word that's really important to me, and that's experience.
Yeah.
Right? So I can buy the same necktie in like 5 different shops. I'm talking about offline, yeah? Online, probably the same. But what I want is a better experience. I want a great salesperson. I don't want a salesperson that doesn't care.
Yeah.
And I think the only way to do that is to be able to control the full stack.
Definitely.
Don't you?
I think I completely agree with you, and that's why I highly recommend my customer to have a live chat on their website.
A live chat, right?
That's
so important.
So amazing. You know, like, okay, it's time consuming. I get that. But you get such a great insight first about your customer. And
sure.
Also, when your customer can just talk to you and ask questions, the experience is so much better, you know. And on top of that, if you can be friendly when they ask you a question, hey, I would like to buy this t-shirt, but I'm not sure about that. And if you can just help them,
right,
and be friendly,
exactly,
the customer like that's such a great experience that he's gonna come back, he's gonna recommend you, and all of this stuff. You know?
I think about this across like all parts of my life. I can go to any restaurant I like.
But if the service
if the service is better, I'm going back to the place where the service is great.
Definitely.
And remember, I want to go back to a place where they remember my name.
Yeah.
And they remember where I sat. Michael, do you want the same wine you had last time?
That's awesome, right?
But you can do that, but a marketplace can't do that.
You can do it because you're lost
right
among thousands of sellers, you know.
But also think about this too. If I'm running a bakery shop, and I think about this because when I was a little boy, in my town there was this great little bakery. My mother would go there all the time, and she'd buy the baked goods, some bread or whatever, and then right next to it, it's actually kind of funny, there was a butcher.
Okay.
They probably knew each other, but the baker had no incentive to start selling meat. Right? I want to talk about one other thing too, and I'm done. This was the first time I realized, do you eat tongue?
What is tongue? Oh, tongue. Okay.
Yeah. Do you eat tongue?
I don't.
So my parents used to serve it a lot when I was a little boy. Slightly off topic, but I love this story. My parents used to serve it at home because they liked it.
Okay.
But when you're a kid, you don't think tongue means tongue.
I guess.
But my mother took me to the butcher one day.
Okay.
And I was little because I was like 5 or 6 years old.
And she saw.
And there it
was.
was. She didn't show me explicitly, but I could see it. And then I realized I'm never eating this again. Right?
Definitely, I get it.
But my mother did have a relationship, and my family had a relationship with the butcher. But the other thing is this. You can use technology on a marketplace, and your incentive to do weird things because you have so much data.
You get so much data.
Think about this. Let's say you went into an offline store, okay, like a bakery, and you're looking at the bread or you're looking at the croissant or whatever you're thinking about buying, but you walk out, right? So in the online world, what is that called? You didn't convert.
Yeah. But we know in the online world, we know how much time you spend on the website, which products.
What you were looking at, where your mouse went, all the pixels that they put on the sites, right?
We can know everything. And then, thanks to Facebook ads, for example, we can retarget you.
Right.
Showing you ads only after you visit the website.
Right.
That's what is retargeting.
I get it.
Showing you only the product that you saw or similar products you could be interested in. So we don't spend ads on showing you like other kind of stuff that you may not like, right?
Right.
And this kind of retargeting campaign, you cannot do that on marketplaces because they keep the data for
right. So think about it. So an individual seller is definitely disadvantaged.
Oh, definitely, because the marketplace doesn't really care actually.
No.
If you sell the t-shirt or if I sell the
if
t-shirt,
you sell it.
Like the marketplace wants the customer to buy the t-shirt. That's why they put the power into the customer, right?
Right.
But if you sell or I sell, they don't care.
They don't care.
And they're paid the same, right?
And as a matter of fact, they don't care if I go bankrupt.
Oh, they don't care at all. They don't just replace you with
but you definitely care if your customers go bankrupt.
My customer doesn't sell. They're still paying my software, right?
Right. Yeah, because because the way your business is set up, it really does engender the power right down.
Oh yeah.
To the business owner.
To the business owner. We want the business owner to be successful.
Right.
Which means he get to provide a great experience.
But you also won't make but you won't make money if they don't make money.
Exactly.
Because if they're not selling,
I don't make money.
You don't get paid.
Yeah. So
but I want to go ahead.
So definitely I get to be sure that my customers are successful into their business.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I cannot be successful.
Right.
Which means I get to make sure that my customers are having a great experience.
Same
and
thing.
They can find what they want with a good experience over that.
Right. So think about this. So if I'm building a website using your tools, right, using the software that you have, and I don't know exactly how to use it, I can call you and ask.
Yeah, you can tell me nice.
Because you do the same thing you want your customers to do. You put live chat in.
Exactly, yeah.
I love this idea. Like my whole business is built around communication.
Yeah.
So I believe really strongly that every single business should have a direct line to the customer.
That's so powerful.
So powerful.
Yeah, so powerful.
Again, if you walk into a store where there's no salesperson, like Amazon is automating these stores, right? Where you walk in, pick up the milk, it just knows you've taken milk and then deducts it from your phone somehow.
That's real, right?
Say it again?
That's real.
First of all, I don't like it, but what if I have a question?
Yeah.
Are you presuming that every time I buy milk, I don't have a question? What's 10% milk? What's 3% milk?
Yeah.
What's whole milk?
Yeah.
What if my partner's sick and I can't call them or they can't come and they're normally the one that buys the milk?
Maybe they will add live chat in the stores.
Maybe, but that seems weirder as well.
This is so real, yeah.
I just think humans want to deal with humans, which again is why I think people want to deal with small businesses. Again, let's go back to the restaurant thing. I can get the greatest lobster dinner here or here. And if this is a boutique restaurant and this is a chain,
you will do it.
I have to. And one of the reasons why is because I want to know who I'm giving my money to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Definitely. That's why most of the time I like to buy from startups or small shops.
Same here.
Start,
Same here.
Because you know that you are contributing more than just buying something, right?
I told you, and I'm not telling you this just because you're French, right? But I told you I went to Ez on the Mediterranean, right?
Okay.
And one of the reasons why I loved being in this small town was because there were no chain stores.
Okay.
And I could go down to Villefranche, right? And go, I'm serious, I loved this. There's a street like right on the beach there. And there was a little bistro and a little bread store, which is what I'm thinking about when I'm talking to you about this. And I could go in and talk to the owner and just say, which one of these things do you recommend?
Yeah.
And I knew when I was given that money, that money went into his bank account. He paid his employees for it. And his daughter got to go to college. Not just because of me.
But because of the good job that he's doing.
But because of the good job he's doing running that store.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're kind of empowering.
Exactly.
And I'm not here selling products. That's not the point. But the point is that I do think that there's this move back to individual proprietor e-commerce stuff. That's my opinion. And I think we're seeing it, right? And I think humans naturally want power not to be concentrated in one place, right?
I think that's better, right?
I think it's better too. But also, we talked a little bit about retargeting.
Yeah.
I'm curious about your opinion on this. Let's say you go into an online store, as soon as you click on this or look at that or just mouse around, right, you know you're going to get retargeted later.
I know that.
You just know it.
Because I build a system for my customers.
Exactly. But imagine this. Imagine if you went into this like theoretical bakery or bread shop that I'm talking about, and it gets late. You're like, oh, shucks, I got to go meet my girlfriend. So you don't have time to buy.
Yeah.
And they kind of saw you looming around the shop. And as soon as you walk out, some dude from the store just like follows you down the street to your car
and
starts tapping you on the shoulder and goes, I know you were looking at these. You would think that was weird, right?
Yeah, that was definitely weird, yeah. But like surprisingly, online it works very well.
No, not surprisingly.
Like, when you see the conversion rate, and
it's super high.
It's super high, and it's really like the ROI, the return on investments that we put on this kind of ads are very, very high. So that's why we definitely recommend to do that, but not at first. Like you get to have first. I think the most important thing in any business, and including e-commerce, is to provide your customer with a great experience. With
Absolutely.
Actually, every time I talk to my customer, I always say like you get to make your customer happy.
Right.
You get to make them so happy that they thank you to give you
money. Exactly.
When your customer thank you to give them money,
now you have a business.
Give more.
Yeah. Now you have a business never going away.
That's good, right?
Never going away.
That's good. A good thing you can say. And I always tell my customer, if that's your goal, you get to make them so happy.
Right.
They're providing support, awesome product, of course, but like great pricing and so many good things that they're gonna be so happy that they're gonna recommend, come back, and all of this stuff. So
the other thing I think about sometimes when it comes to e-commerce, right? And again, why? Because marketplaces are these gigantic things that don't really understand what each one. I mean, they do and don't. They don't care what their individual customers do. They just care what they do collectively, right? Where again, a small store can give you better service and less retargeting when they know it's not necessary. Here's the thing. I have a friend recently who bought a Dyson. You know what Dyson is, right? They make vacuum cleaners and hair dryers and all this other stuff. Great products, right? Kind of funky looking, but also high tech. Spent a lot of time searching online to try to find the right one and the right price and get information, and then bought one. They're not in the market for another one, but they're still getting retargeted.
Yeah, I get it.
Do you know what I mean?
From the Dyson website, we can still see ads and videos.
Yeah, but not just from Dyson website, from the other marketplaces too, because that's where you look for them, right? So they have all this data, but in a way they're not using it right, because now they're just annoying you. No?
No, definitely. I think that's very bad for the experience, but they don't really care actually because it sells.
I know. But in a way,
we have so much traffic and stuff like that, So.
But I'm just trying to make this overall point, right? That there is this very centralized power that these marketplaces have, which is great, and I completely understand how technology works. But I think at some point, the same thing that happened offline is going to happen online, where people are just going to want to go to a smaller shop, give money directly to an owner that they know, or a pair of owners that they know, or founders, right?
You're right.
And those founders will be less likely to aggressively retarget you because you're differentiating yourself not just with the products that you have, but with this super high level of customer service.
So you can choose to stop, for example, with
retargeting.
If you sell on marketplaces, you cannot choose because you cannot do it. So
you can't do
it for you. So we control definitely the customer experience for you. So if you're not happy with that, or if you want to provide something better, you cannot do it. So, but yeah, definitely, if we see the same shop, the same like change of behavior you saw in the physical world online, that's gonna definitely actually gives much more power to the buyers because it's so much better to go to a small shop and give money, as you say, to the owner and to like help him grow his business.
Yeah.
If buyers understand that and the switch happen, actually, I think in the end they get much more power to control, where they want to spend the money, where is the money actually going.
Right.
Because the marketplaces, they take a big fee, on every sales.
Right.
So you definitely feed the monster, right? So
yeah, you have. What are the fees that a normal marketplace takes? Is it 30% retail like normal, or?
Yeah, it's around 30% in total.
Right.
Yeah. That's good, right?
It's big. I mean, I think most offline department stores do the same thing. So if you go into a big department store and want to get your product on the shelf there, I think you're still selling on some level of consignment. They may buy some product, right? Because department stores have buyers as well. This is a different discussion, but I do think that, excuse me, I do think that there's going to be this continuous change back into like boutique experiences because I think it's going to be based on the experience.
Yeah.
Right.
I completely agree with you.
Are there other trends that you see? You have a lot of customers now.
Yeah.
Are there other sort of interesting things you see?
Some other thing I see that doing this kind of stuff allows a lot of people to start their own business very easily. And that's cool because when you have an idea, for example, and when you can, I don't know, like, I see some of my customers, like they have been, for example, like the first that comment on top of my head right now is one of my customers who used to drink tea, a special kind of tea.
Right.
Because she wanted to lose weight, by the way. And actually she found this tea and she got a routine based on that. And she had some other product and some stuff.
Right.
And then she created like kind of a new tea by buying there and there and there and, mixing together and stuff like that. And then one day she saw, oh, maybe I can like sell that online. So thanks to having her own store, she could create like a whole branding, a whole marketing around this tea.
Mm-hmm.
So now she has a brand that she can advertise and she could launch her business so easily,
Exactly.
It just took her like 2 weeks to be online and start selling and advertising and branding, So she could like make a name for her products, for her brands, for herself.
Right.
I'm starting from nothing, and that's so cheap to do that nowadays, thanks to software like mine, for
like yours, right? Yeah.
And if you want to do that on marketplaces or through physical store, it's a complete other story. Because on marketplaces, you would not be able to brand yourself.
Really?
You have no way to build your brand. And on a physical store, it would be so much expensive to start, right?
Oh, sure.
But there, like anybody can start, anybody can try, and the downside if you fail is so low, like you just lose like.
So in a way, I have this media business, right? When I first started, I didn't buy a fancy mic.
Yeah.
I didn't buy a fancy boom arm. I just had a laptop and a cheap microphone.
You just start small.
But it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's this sort of, and again, different topic, but on the same line, this digitalization of everything. Mm-hmm. Means it's really easy for people to be able to start their own businesses really fast. And if they fail, they fail. There's not that big an investment. But if they don't, they can also scale a lot faster.
Definitely scale a lot faster because the power of having your own store, when you understand your customers, when you talk to them,
right? When
you get the data by yourself, when you own the marketing channel, which means for me like very important, like when you are ranked, for example, on Google. When people look for tea, they find your website.
Right.
That's how you own your traffic. Then it's much easier to scale, like crazy.
But so let me ask you this though: you have 500 customers now.
5 for now, yeah.
Something around there, right? You had 0 just like 2 months ago. I can't remember how long ago you started. But you yourself are also going to start accumulating data.
I get a lot of data, yeah.
Right. But how does a company of your size take advantage? Because you're not working today with a ton of data scientists, right? Mm-hmm. And neither are your clients. How do small businesses go about getting, what's the right word, organizing their data so that then they can do some of the technology-enabled things like retargeting in a sensible way so they can actually get better service to their clients? Because at some point they're going to have to do data analysis, particularly if they grow.
So the good news about that is that we provide all the tools to our customer to understand the data very easily.
Really?
Yeah, so that's very simple actually to read the data that we stock for the customer.
Okay.
Give them all the tools for that. So they understand, for example, who are their customer, what's the age group, if they are male or female, where do they live, which country, and stuff like that. So
right.
like a lot of insights about that.
Okay.
We also know exactly how much time people spend on the website, what's the bounce rate. Like we know all the conversion rates. For example, how much people go on the website, add product to the carts, go to the checkout page, actually buy in the end.
Right,
we know
right.
like all the figures about that.
Right.
So we know exactly like where can be the problem if we want to optimize that. So we provide all of this to the customer.
But what if they want to build something slightly more sophisticated?
They can.
They can.
All the tools for that. So if tomorrow somebody say, hey, Marina, I have an idea. Actually, they don't need to talk to me for that. They can just do that themselves, you know.
Can they?
But nowadays, a lot of my customers talk to me because I try to provide this experience where I'm there for them, you know. So yeah, so most of the time I know what they're doing, just they talk to me.
Right.
But if they don't want to do that, they can definitely build their own tools.
So do you think e-commerce is going to be different in every country at some point in time?
I definitely do. For example, here in
Tell me
Thailand,
why. Yeah, go ahead.
For example, here in Thailand, it's completely different than in France.
Tell me how, though.
The first thing that really surprised me when I first came here was the Facebook Live that people do here in Thailand to sell, for example, clothes. In France, you never see people doing Facebook Live to sell clothes for an online store. It's like just something. When I first came here, I was like, "What's that?"
What do you mean, though? So people actually go onto Facebook Live, like we are now,
yeah, like exactly like us,
and have they're sitting in a chair and they have just products and say, "Buy this sweater or buy this pair of pants," and
they try and they say like, "Look at this awesome T-shirt. It fits me well. That's S size. You know, that's perfect. That's nice. That's good fabric. Goes there." In Thailand, they would say messages. We gonna send you the bank account number. Just wire us the money.
Just wire us the money.
And we send it to you. So this trust level is so high in Thailand, you know. In France, you could never do that. But yeah, people do this way. You know, like it looks like the trust level in Thailand is so high.
Right.
They do also a lot of cash on delivery.
Right.
That we don't do
COD,
at all in Europe. COD is like...
It's like 85 or 90% here still. In Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, I think it's still the same thing, right?
Here.
Right.
And also here, like...
We could do an entire show just on payments.
Yeah.
We should think about that, right?
Payments is so interesting.
And the back-end logistics. We should actually do that. Sorry, go ahead.
We can definitely do that.
We should do that, just so people can understand how it's different. But go ahead.
And it's very different, actually, from country to country.
For sure.
Because it definitely is based on culture and how people relate to each other. In France, I would never wire you money and then
wait for the product to come.
No way. I would never do that.
No way.
We trust our bank to do the third party, right?
Right.
So we are like, I pay with my credit card.
Right.
And if there's a problem, I can ask my bank to go get
you don't call
the money back.
You don't call the vendor back.
No, I don't. I would try first.
Right, of course. But if it has to be resolved, if there's some kind of issue resolution, we just call the bank.
Yeah, we trust the bank.
Yeah.
But here, no, there is no bank involved. That's fine, right?
Right, it's all COD.
Yeah,
or mostly.
And also in France, if I am the owner of a business,
right,
and if you want to buy me the T-shirt, I would not do COD.
Right, exactly, because I want to make sure I have the money first.
I want to make sure you're gonna pay me, right? So
interesting.
So it definitely tells a lot about how people relate to each other, right? So that's why the culture side of that, it definitely impacts e-commerce a lot, right?
Do you think that sorry, I should speak into the mic better. I've been yelling at you about this for days. I should do the right thing. I'm sitting over here talking. It's never going to work. Is there a gamification aspect to this? And I want to be more specific. If you go onto Agoda, or you go onto booking.com, and again, another massive site, right, for travel, and you look at a specific property, it'll say 5 people just bought this thing, and there are only 3 more of these things left. Do you think that that's also possible to do on a bespoke website?
Actually, we do that already.
Okay, I didn't know that.
We do that already. We got a few tactics for doing that.
But you have tools that you have already on Hello Dr. Tech that do that?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
We do that 2 ways. So actually, I see my customer doing that 2 ways.
Okay.
The first way is the true way, let's say.
The true way, meaning like I really only have 3 of these left.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all I have.
So we can display the stock remaining. So like, okay, 3, 2, 1, out of stock.
Right.
Cannot sell anymore.
Cannot sell anymore. I don't have it anymore.
And when it stops, like the software can stop for you. So
you can't get an order and then take payment for something.
Yeah. So in case like you can make sure your customer gonna be delivered.
Right.
So that's cool. But also there's a lot of people who fake that. We say like we got somebody who buy from Paris, somebody from Marseille, and actually what we see is that it definitely increase the conversion rates, because it creates some scarcity for the product.
Right.
But I don't
some
like
fake
that.
scarcity.
Because that's fake. So.
But should there be some kind of consumer protection around that?
We could build that. Actually,
do you know what I mean?
This is something I thought about.
You know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean. And this is something I
I'm sure you have thought about this.
Also, there's something else that I am in the power of doing is all the scams that we can see, like all the fake website that
Right.
want to sell something that is just a scam. I have the power to shut them down.
You should, though. Don't you think?
I should definitely, but how do I do that?
I don't know that, actually.
It's not that simple, you know. I cannot imagine today I have 500 stores. That's easy to see if somebody
is scamming,
right?
Right, it's scamming.
Tomorrow, if I got 50,000 stores, it's gonna be much harder to know, right? But I could have the power, but then we're gonna have some privacy issue. Maybe my customer doesn't want me to
know that you're scamming people.
No. Maybe my customer doesn't want me to interfere.
I understand
with what they do.
I understand that.
And look at the data, even if I get them.
I get it, but even let's go back to the offline world.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
if someone's scamming out of an office somewhere, you just shut them down.
That's it.
So I do think at some level that the rules that we've put in place in the offline world are going to seep into the online world, right?
True.
Because at scale, we should actually be able to monitor more, and everything requires a balance, right? I don't want the extent of the technology that's out there to be monitoring everything that I'm doing, even though it can do it much easier than it can in the offline world. But I want it to be some kind of balance. And if there's consumer protection offline, right? Like if you say you're going to sell me a radio and you send a brick to me, that's not right.
True.
Right? Anyway.
But we can definitely do that online.
We should do that, right?
We should definitely do that.
We should definitely do that.
I think and actually that can be a nice marketing
and differentiating thing, right?
And with difference.
So can I ask you this?
Yeah.
For your tools, right? Let's say I build a website using the Hello Dr. Tech stuff, right? Does it say at the bottom, this site built by Hello Dr. Tech?
No.
You don't do that.
We don't do that.
You don't do it on purpose, or?
Yeah, because most of my customers, they want to own the brand.
Yeah, no, I know that. But in the same way that like you used to buy a PC and it would say Intel inside.
That's true.
Right? so you'd know the difference.
We should definitely brand the Dr. Tech quality
right
to the end customer.
That's my point.
So
they know if they're on a site that's built by Dr. Tech.
That's quality product.
That's a quality product.
We do that.
That's a great thing to do, I think.
I thought about that.
Yeah.
I thought about that. I think it's not be expensive to build the trust from people.
Sure.
But the day we get the power to do that, that can be a very nice way.
But again, just like everything else, and I think about this a lot when it comes to software development, right? If you hard code something into a table, let's say you have 500 customers, and let's say you think in your whole life you're never going to have more than 10,000 customers, which I completely disagree with. I think you'll have way more than that. But if you build a table that only holds 10,000 people or 10,000 entries, when you get to 9,900 and something, now you're going to have to scramble to fix that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with this consumer protection and other parts of your business that you want to build in. You want to leave like this emotional or psychological placeholder for it, so that when it comes time to build it, you've already kind of thought it out, and that there's room inside of your business for that.
Oh, definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
Does that make sense?
Definitely, but this kind of stuff is not hard to do actually. Like it's not a technical issue.
No, it's not a technical issue at all.
It's just a branding issue. Like
yeah.
People know that the brand means something. That's just the thing. But I think that's a very good point actually, because what makes people go buy on Amazon?
Trust.
That's it. Because they know if there's a problem, we can call Amazon, who's gonna find a solution, right?
Exactly.
So what about making this kind of the same experience?
And Hello Dr. Tech, right?
On like bespoke e-commerce.
On a bespoke e-commerce.
Yeah.
So I remember the first thing I bought back when Amazon was just a bookstore. I was living in Tokyo.
Okay.
And I'd heard about this Amazon thing, and I wanted to buy a book and see if they could ship it to Tokyo. Actually, what I think I did was I shipped it to Morgan Stanley in New York, and then Morgan Stanley shipped it to me for free. So fair enough. But I remember they had this little slot, put in your credit card. And I'm sitting there thinking, they're in Seattle. I'm in Tokyo. I don't know these people. There's no way I'm putting my credit card in there. No way. I called them.
Okay.
And I don't think I was the only one, because they actually had a place you could call.
Okay.
And I'm like, my credit card's like 4760-215, whatever it was. And they're like, okay, we'll ship it. And I remember feeling like that was safer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but again, they built trust over time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. But this is also why marketplaces are so big and why they get so much power, because people trust them more.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be neat if you could take away all the bad things about the marketplaces, right? So the lack of data, what I call data hoarding, right? And the lack of product differentiation, the lack of the ability to service differentiate, the lack of ability to do design differentiation at scale, where all I know is that Amazon sells shoes and it gives me a list of 400 different sellers.
Yeah. We'll say like sometimes the same
It's
thing.
the same thing, maybe a slightly different price or whatever.
Yeah.
But I always think about if you could build a better online marketplace, you could still give the power to the sellers, remove the ability to scam, and make the experience for the buyers
Awesome.
way better, but still have quality control, right? Because that was the other thing with the mall. If you went to the mall, you trusted that inside that building you weren't going to get scammed, right? Like if you went to the arcade and put in your quarter to play Pac-Man or whatever, you knew that you were going to get your game. Whereas if you just went to some random arcade, you didn't know. But I think that what you're doing actually can still do that, which is why I talk about that branding. Hello, Dr. Tech. This site built with those tools. And then people automatically, not automatically, but over time trust it. But you don't but you don't abscond the data. And one of the things you do is you teach your sellers how to use their own data. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
But you still can build a gigantic company doing this.
Super powerful, I think.
But it's way more powerful than the model that's there now.
Yeah.
Because the sellers will love it, and it'll take power away. Like, I don't think e-commerce actually has been solved yet.
Okay.
I know that Amazon in the United States has 50% of online retail. But I mean, they've only been at it for 20 years. We've got another 100 years before, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and naturally the percentage of the total sales, like if you get like retail plus online, it's not so big, but it's owned by Amazon.
No, it's very small,
It's
actually.
very small, actually.
I think, so out here, we live in Southeast Asia. I think the numbers are something like the percentage of retail that occurs online is like 4%.
Okay.
I think in the United States, I think, I'll have to go back and check, right? It's something between 12 and 15%. So if you do 50% of that, then Amazon owns 6% of retail.
Yeah, this is not big, right?
It could be double that,
Yeah.
but still not that big yet. So I do think that new companies can come in and try to change the way retail happens online.
Yeah.
And that's why, to me, this kind of discussion is so interesting because I don't have an answer.
There is also something very interesting that you can do. Like something that just coming like right now
Tell me.
in my mind is like the kind of VIP experience that you can have when you go to a very expensive shop. Like for example, let's say Louis Vuitton.
Absolutely.
You go buy jackets.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
You go buy a 2,000 euros jacket at Louis Vuitton in Paris, but they don't have your size. They don't
Right.
have the M that you need.
Right.
Are they going to say, "Oh no, sorry, you just
Done.
go"?
Sorry, no.
They're not doing
No.
that, right?
No. Well, what will they do?
Or what they're gonna do? They're gonna call Berlin and London,
Yeah.
and Rome and Madrid
And Madrid
Vienna,
and Milan and wherever.
Milan,
And
they're gonna
get that thing
find-
for you.
and they're gonna deliver tomorrow or
Right.
the day after, right?
Yeah.
Because they're gonna pay DHL 50 euros,
Right, exactly.
and they can deliver you the 2,000 jacket, right?
But this is a really good point, right? Because at that level, what's the biggest differentiator between a luxury product and a mass market product? What's the big differentiator? It's a rhetorical question. I'll give you the answer. It's the margin, right? The quality could be the same, but there's a massive margin in there, and part of that margin goes to sales and service. And you're right. There should be a massive luxury experience online.
Definitely. So you can definitely imagine having a chain of retail stores that have one store at one location.
Exactly.
But this store can deliver all the shops super fast.
Absolutely.
Thanks to Grab, for example, we have here Grab in Thailand.
Right.
You can just we don't have the product. That doesn't matter. We deliver it to you in 2 hours at your home. That's great. And you can probably all of it online and retail.
But there's no marketplace, at least not here, that does that.
No, nobody does that.
But it also means you can differentiate on an individual level. So I can use your software
Yeah.
to build a massive luxury store,
Definitely. Yeah.
charge higher prices, make more margin. And when I need to pay for customer service, I can do that. And no one's doing that right now.
No one doing that.
But that's what I mean when I say that online retail hasn't been solved yet,
Yeah.
right? It
Definitely.
feels like it has because you do it all the time and you take for granted that it's going to work. But I think it's evolving. And I'm 100% convinced that these marketplaces are not always going to be the power center and power hub of online retail.
I completely agree with that.
I'd love to know. I'd love to know if any of the listeners or any of the viewers, what they think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to know. And as we should encourage people, actually, if they are watching and when they are watching, to send us questions, to interrupt the conversation,
Definitely.
and to let us know, right?
Yeah.
Because that's part of the reason why we're doing this. The great thing is you have your own level of experience. I have my level of experience. But the one thing I know for sure is we don't know everything.
Oh, definitely not. We get to learn.
We have to learn, right? And again, this is one of the big benefits for you of having all these customers.
Yeah, and talking to them every day.
Every day, right? But they'll call you and say, hey, Martin, how about this thing? And you'll say, oh, that we've already solved.
Yeah.
How about this thing? Had not thought about that.
Definitely.
Right?
So I'm doing that every day. So that's so great to learn so many things about e-commerce, about also people who want to learn something, like just the business side of that.
Yep.
Yeah, this is great. So I get insight about like so many stuff. So that's cool. So if people just want to add questions and comments on the live,
yep,
it's definitely possible. We should do that more for the.
We should definitely do that.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do that.
Yeah.
So what else do you want to talk about? You want to finish up for today?
Maybe I will give you one example.
Give me one example
of how marketplace can be good actually.
Tell me.
Can be very helpful.
Yeah, I'm not against. I'm just trying to point out the differences. But go ahead.
Well, I think there's a way that we can build marketplaces and can actually empower the sellers.
Tell me.
I have an example to give you. When I was living in Annecy, in the French Alps.
Okay.
Have you been to Annecy?
No, but I'm already jealous.
It's one of the best places.
It's got to be beautiful. That's near Switzerland, yeah?
Yeah, that's Switzerland. It's
okay,
like
just to be clear for people that don't know.
30 minutes by car from Geneva.
It's got to be beautiful.
In the French
It's got to be
side.
beautiful there, yeah?
It's amazing. We have a big lake.
Yeah.
And you can like go like hiking and all of that stuff during the
summertime, yeah.
And go skiing during the winter.
Yeah.
So like the whole year there's something to do. The whole year. Like,
do you ski?
I snowboard.
Oh, you snowboard. Why did I ask?
So
I like how you dismiss me. No, I snowboard. Only.
Snowboard, sorry, so of course I had my own board
Two
when
boards.
I was there.
Yeah, of course.
And you can just do that from like maybe like December to March, April. You can do snowboard. Then
Right.
You can do motorbike in the mountain. Awesome.
Right.
But when I was living there, because as you are in the mountains, there's a lot of farmers everywhere in the mountains that are making cheese, meats, pate,
oh, God.
all of this awesome stuff.
I gotta go. I need to get some pate.
Absolutely, because it's like very local and
fresh.
And fresh. And most of the time, these farmers, they do that because their parents were doing the same.
Right.
So it's like, it's traditional. They got the know-how on how to do that. So, and in France, people love that, right? And I think everywhere in the world, if you go to this kind of little farm, you can actually see the cow that just makes the milk of your cheese.
Yeah. It doesn't get any better than that. It just does not get any better than that, yeah.
But the problem there is that the farm are in the mountain. So do you want to take your car, drive 45 minutes in the mountain to go buy 2 cheese and go back, right? No. So this is an issue. So what does the farmer do? They do all the small markets in every town, right? So they go to this little village for Monday morning, then this one Tuesday morning, and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So that's what they used to do. But the problem with that is that it's time consuming. Just they get to go there all the time.
Right, and if the weather's bad or if their car breaks down or if any kind of problem,
and they get to always carry all their stock to be able to sell.
Right.
So that's not very...
logistically really hard to do.
Yeah. So but they're doing that for a long time, right? So what they did is they say, okay, guys, we're gonna gather together 10 farms, and we're gonna launch a shop in the center town of Annecy. So they took a boutique, a shop. They gathered like maybe 10 or 11 farmers, and they were rotating. They were keeping the store like half a day each, but they could deliver their product there every day.
Right.
So you make cheese. You are going to be half a day every week to maintain the store, to be there.
I understand.
So customer can talk to you.
Right.
But you can sell all the week because other people from
other farms,
from other farm are going to do the same as you.
Exactly. And they'll sell your product as well.
And they're going to sell your product.
Right.
And nobody competes with each other. Somebody will sell milk, somebody will sell cheese, somebody, they don't compete with each other. but they gather together to make the customer experience much better.
Right.
And you can talk directly to the farmer.
Right.
Because every time there is one farmer there, right?
I love it.
So you don't have to the mountains, but you have the same quality products and you can get the same experience.
Right.
And the farmer doesn't need to go to every little market every day anymore. They
Right.
just go to this shop 1, 2, 3 times a week and done.
Go ahead.
So I think that's amazing for everybody. Like everybody benefits from that.
Right.
So what about launching a website doing the same thing?
Same thing.
We should definitely launch marketplaces for people who don't compete with each other,
Right.
but who are local. Then since we can launch some very small marketplace for local people like this, we can, if we can fix the delivery issues, because that's the only problem with that, it's gonna be harder to deliver cheese because it needs to be, in cold stuff and all of that stuff. But if we can fix the delivery issues,
Right.
we can launch some very local marketplaces and make something very nice.
So what you've just done is you've now replicated, and this is what I've been talking about for this entire hour, right? You've now replicated the offline world where the baker and the butcher are sitting on one street,
Yeah.
right? And
Exactly.
you're just recreating this for the farmers that are in the mountains so they don't have to recreate all their own shops.
Yeah.
And because they're not competing with each other, then now they're not doing lowest common denominator pricing. They still have a premium product and they can still make money.
Yeah.
And the power, it's not like the power is one-sided and just goes to the seller, because the buyers want those great, fresh, from the mountain farmer products.
Doesn't want to go to their.
But they don't want to go to the mountain?
Then get the
No,
meat.
no,
They want
makes
to go.
no sense. They want the efficiency and the logistic ability to be able to do this. And actually, technology can help you solve this problem.
Definitely.
I once sat on stage with the head of the chief revenue officer for one of the biggest marketplaces in Asia,
Okay.
because we were at an event. It was a tech startup event. And I said to him, product discovery is a problem. So how are you using algorithms and technology to solve this discovery problem? And his answer surprised me. He said, we don't have a discovery problem. We have 2 million products on our site. And the audience actually looked up and they were like, there was a gasp in the audience because he didn't understand
It's a problem.
the problem. Because what you've just said is actually really interesting. Use the power of technology in a localized way, in a curated way, to build a marketplace that's beneficial for both sides.
Yeah.
And where people help each other.
Yeah.
If you're the cheese guy and I'm the bread guy, on Tuesdays you're there, but you're still selling my bread. I trust you, so you bring back the profits to me, or we create a joint bank account.
That's good. That's really good.
And Monday through Saturday or whatever, we take Sunday off.
Yeah.
It works. But you can also use the power of technology and logistics tech to be able to make that seamless online.
Yeah. So you can scale.
Yeah, but that kind of marketplace I love.
And it doesn't exist.
No.
And that would be amazing.
It should.
Yeah, and actually, I feel I'm doing that with the tech.
You should.
Because I can do that,
You should walk away from the microphone right away and start building that. What are you doing?
I can build the marketplaces on the same model that we build e-commerce website right now.
But you wouldn't want to.
What?
You wouldn't want to, would you?
For these local farmers?
Yeah.
If it can help them to sell
That you would definitely want to do,
the
right?
end customers,
Absolutely.
it would be so amazing, like to gather all of these guys on local marketplace and launch
Awesome.
hundreds of very local marketplace with people who doesn't compete with each other. But we just have to fix the delivery issue. So if somebody in the audience have an idea on how we can deliver cheese and meat and stuff like that, to the
storage,
end,
right?
end customers,
Right.
yeah, that would be definitely amazing to do something like that.
I love this idea.
Yeah, that's great.
Which is why I love these conversations.
Definitely, and that's only the first one.
Exactly. Okay, dude.
That's only the first one.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael.
This is awesome.
You like it?
Love it. Let's do more.
Let's do definitely more.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Bye for now.
Wait, I have to find my mouse again. Okay.